Examination of shoulder. Begin by inspecting the shoulder and shoulder girdle inferiorly. Inspect the scapula and related muscles posteriorly during both inspections. Note any swelling, deformity. Palpate the tenderness at the sternoclavicular joint, tracing the clavicle laterally. From behind, follow the bony spine of scapula laterally and upward until it becomes the acromion and summit of the shoulder. From there, palpate the acromioclavicular joint and from there down the coracoid process of the scapula. Palpate the greater tubercle and the bicep tendon in the intertubercle groove. Also, lift the humerus posteriorly so you can palpate the subacromial bursa and subdeltoid bursa, and underlying palpate the sits muscles, that is supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis and teres minor. To evaluate the range of the motion of the shoulder, ask the patient to perform the 6 motion of the shoulder girdle, that is abduction, adduction, flexion, extension, internal rotation and external rotation. Abduction is the raises the arm out of the side and overhead. Adduction is crossing an arm in front of his body. Flexion is where patient raises his arm in front and overhead. Extension is where he moves his arm behind. Internal rotation, placing his hand behind the back and turn the scapula. External rotation is rotating an arm towards the ceiling from shoulder level. Examiner of the shoulder often calls for the patient to perform the maneuvers to test specific motions and structures. First one is crossover or crossed body adduction test. Second one is apply scratch test. In this, ask the patient to touch the opposite scapula using the 2 motions shown. Third one is painful arc test. Fully adduct the patient arm from 0 to 180 degree. Knee impingement test. Press on the scapula to prevent scapular motion with one hand and raise the patient's arm with the other. This compresses the greater tuberosity of the humerus against the acromion. Next one is Hawkins impingement test. Flex the patient's shoulder and elbow to 90 degrees with the palm facing down. Then with the one hand on the forearm and one on the arm. For the empty can test, elevate the arms to 90 degrees and internally rotate the arms with the thumbs pointing down, as if emptying a can. For the drop arm test, ask the patient to fully abduct the arm to shoulder level up to 90 degrees and lower it slowly. Note the abduction above the shoulder level from 90 to 120 degrees. Test hand grip strength by asking the patient to grasp your second and third fingers. Finkelstein test. This test is used for the thumb movement and thumb function. Ask the patient to grasp the thumb against the palm and then move the wrist towards the midline in ulnar deviation. To test the thumb abduction, ask the patient to raise the thumb straight up as you apply downward resistance. Tinner sign by tapping lightly over the course of the median nerve in the carpal tunnel. Etching and numbness in the median nerve distribution is a positive for this test. Now, to test Phelan sign, ask the patient to hold the wrist in flexion for 60 seconds with the elbows fully extended. To test the Bull sign, with the knee extended, place the left hand above the knee and apply pressure on the suprapatellar pouch, displacing or milking fluid downwards. Stroke downward on the medial aspect of the knee and apply pressure to force fluid into the lateral area. Tap the knee just behind the lateral margin of the patella with the right hand. The next one is the balloon sign. Place the thumb and index finger to your right hand on each side of the patella. With the left hand, compress the suprapatellar pouch against the femur. Palpate for fluid ejected or ballooning into the spaces next to the patella. In ballooning the patella, you can also compress the suprapatellar pouch and push the patella sharply against the femur. Watch for the fluid returning to the suprapatellar pouch. In the McMurray test with the patient supine, grasp the heel and flex the knee. Cup your other hand over the knee joint with the fingers and thumb along the medial joint line. From the heel, externally rotate the lower leg and then push on the lateral side to apply a valgus stress on the medial side of the joint. At the same time, slowly extend the lower leg in the external rotation. The same maneuver with the internal rotation of the foot stresses the lateral meniscus. Abduction stress test. With the patient supine and the knee slightly flexed, move the thigh about 30 degrees laterally to the side of the table. Place one hand against the lateral knee to stabilize the femur and other hand around the medial ankle. Push medially against the knee and pull laterally at the angle to open the knee joint on the medial side. For the adduction stress test, with the thigh and knee in the same position, change your position so that you can place one hand against the medial surface of the knee and the other around the lateral ankle. Push laterally against the knee and pull medially at the ankle to open the knee joint on the lateral side. In the anterior drawer test, with the patient supine, hips flexed and the knees flexed at the 90 degrees and the feet flat on the table. Cup your hands around the knee with the thumbs on the medial and the lateral joint line and the fingers on the medial and the lateral insertions of the hamstring. In the Lachman test, place the knee in the 50 degrees of flexion and external rotation. Rest the distal femur on the lateral side with the one hand and the proximal tibia on the medial side with the other. With the thumb of the tibial hand on the joint line, simultaneously pull the tibia forward and the femur back. Estimate the degree of the forward excursion. In the posterior drawer test, position the patient and place your hands in the position described for the anterior drawer test. Push the tibia posteriorly and observe the degree of backward movement in the femur.